What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing. I just finished up watching Frank Sanchez versus Carlos Negron, and this was a 10-rounder in the heavyweight division, and this fight was Saturday, October 15th from the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, and this fight was broadcasted on Fox pay-per-view, and in this fight, Frank Sanchez was able to get a 9th-round knockout victory over Carlos Negron. So leading up to the stoppage, I had this bout scored 78-74 in favor of Frank Sanchez. So just for reference, I mean, if you're hearing extra car noises or anything like that, or muffled sound in the background, it's because I am in a car right now. So just take that into reference. But yeah, so more into this fight. Frank Sanchez, he got the 9th-round knockout win. He sort of had a bit of a tough time coming through early on, but then he started to break through as the rounds went on and got the stoppage. So just to break that down, the first round I thought was a pretty clear round for Frank Sanchez. He just had the better leaping shots. He was leaping in with that overhand right. And not to mention, this was his first fight with Joe Goosen, and this was his first fight at a career high in weight of 247 pounds. He's normally known for fighting at like 225, 230, 235, around there, but he came in this fight very, very big, like the size of some of the heavyweights of this generation, some of the top heavyweights of now. But in that second round, I actually thought that Carlos Negron had a lot of success. He had some really good jabs on the outside, and Sanchez was trying to leap in with that overhand right, but Negron was just catching him with the jab in that second round. So after 2 rounds, I had it 19-19. Then in round number 3, Negron was buckled slightly with a solid hook from Frank Sanchez early, and I thought that Sanchez just had the bigger shots overall in the third round, so I gave that third round to him. Then in round number 4, Sanchez again just had the better shots. Negron wasn't doing much in that 4th round. Then in the 5th round, just like that second round in my opinion, Carlos Negron had the better jabs on the outside. He was catching Sanchez with some 1-2 combinations, and it wasn't like they were hurting Sanchez or anything. They were just the fluttering shots. He was just sort of tattooing Sanchez's gloves. I know they weren't landing clean, like they were partially landing, but they were still scoring shots, and I think he did a bit more work than Sanchez in that round. Then in round number 6, was a big round for Frank Sanchez. He was able to buckle Carlos Negron with a big combination to the head. So that 6th round was a 10-9 round, obviously, for Frank Sanchez. So after 6 rounds, I had this bout 58-56 for Frank Sanchez. Then in round number 7, Sanchez just had the bigger shots early, but I thought that Negron had a solid close with some solid combinations to the body, but I still gave that round to Sanchez. Then in round number 8, Sanchez had far more activity and bigger shots in that round. And then in round number 9, the big finish of this fight, this reminded me of when Carlos Negron got knocked out by Dominic Breazeale, where Frank Sanchez leaped in with a massive right hand that sort of sent Carlos Negron's back to be turned, and he went like face first into the ropes. He was like on his knees face first into the ropes. He got up, which I was shocked over, because he looked very tired, very sluggish in that round after getting hit. He got back up. Frank Sanchez leaped in for the kill. They were exchanging in the center of the ring. Sanchez kept pushing on the pressure, exchanging with him, got him up against the ropes, landed some more combinations, and the referee waved it off. So this was a pretty solid end to the fight for Frank Sanchez, and I really think he does have to go back to the drawing board for this fight. We saw him against Efe Ajagba. He looked very, very solid, and that was really his best performance of his career, and he looked very fluid in that fight. However, this fight, I mean, I'm going to be 100% honest. He looked just too heavy. He weighed in at 247, as I mentioned before. I think he should really be fighting at like 235. That's really the perfect weight for him able to sort of fluctuate around or able to move around the ring fluidly, for him able to just box very solidly. And I really think that he should just really train more with Joe Goosen on his boxing and on his more defensive fighting, because that's what he would do with Eddie Reynoso. He would dig to the body a lot from the outside. He would dictate the pace with the jab, and he'd win the fights with no question. This fight early on, it looked very, very tough. It looked like a very competitive fight, but then ultimately, obviously, Sanchez pulled through with the knockout. So if you're watching this fight, comment down below your scorecard and your thoughts on this fight. And this goes into the question, what is next for Frank Sanchez? I personally think he's going to step it up in competition a bit more. I mean, he fought Efe Ajagba, which got him into this sort of like top 10, top 15 spot in the heavyweight division. He's currently ranked, I believe, number 2 or number 3 by the WBO. right now. So he's high rated by the WBO. I'm pretty sure in the new WBO rankings, if they haven't came out already, he will be number 2, considering that Joe Joyce knocked out Joseph Parker. But yeah, I think he's either maybe going to face Joe Joyce in his next fight for that interim title Joyce holds, unless Joyce wants to take on or wait for the Usyk title shot, or whoever obviously is holding the WBO title at the time, whatever, if it's vacant. I mean, who knows? If Usyk is stripped of that WBO crown, we could see Frank Sanchez versus Joe Joyce for the vacant world title, which would be a very interesting fight. And I would like to see how Sanchez would work in that fight, and how he would work in camp to get ready for that fight, if he would cut down and weight like I think he should, or whatever he would do. But then as for Carlos Negron, what is next for him? He's lost here for the 4th time in his career, and really on the biggest stages he's fought on, he hasn't done that bad. When he fought against Dominic Breazeale, he put up a great fight and was arguably ahead until he got stopped. And in this fight, he was actually doing pretty solidly against Frank Sanchez up until getting stopped. So, I mean, all props to him, but I think in his next fight, he'll go back to Puerto Rico, take on some lower-level competition until maybe getting thrown back on, like on a PBC card, and taking on some more solid competition like Sanchez, like someone around that level, or even lower, like a top 20, top 15, around that level. Maybe even Adam Kovnatski could be his next opponent. Who knows? That'd be a very interesting fight. So, overall, Frank Sanchez overcome some adversity earlier on in the fight, and then he's sort of settled into the fight, started to hurt Carlos Negron, and ultimately dropped Negron and got a standing stoppage in the 9th round. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.